Welcome to Biologica. I'm Dr. Susan, a veterinarian and a marine educator from Maine. On this show, we'll be exploring the many ways that animals and humans interact and that society and nature intersect. Please visit my Patreon or my Podbean page to support the show or to suggest future episodes. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the episode today. Thanks for listening. Welcome to Biologica. Today's episode is going to be about the domestic turkey. 2 weeks ago, we delved in and looked at wild turkeys, and today we'll look at the domestication of turkeys, how it happened in ancient times, and their cultural importance today. As James Robertson wrote, turkey is consumed at Thanksgiving feasts because it was a native to America and because it is a symbol of the bounteous richness of the wilderness. The timing is a little bit perfect right now. We are actually just about to get in the car and head to a Friendsgiving, where I'm sure there will be a beautiful turkey.
Today, when folk songs become popular hits, it's noteworthy that many a popular song of the 19th century became the root of a true folk expression like Turkey in the Straw. So I was a-going down the road, tired team and a heavy load. I cracked my whip and the leader sprung. The old mare broke the wagon tongue. Turkey in a hay pile, turkey in a straw. Turkey in a hay pile, turkey in a straw. Rake 'em up, shake 'em up, anyway at all. Turkey in a haystack, turkey in a straw.
Some of you may be listening to this while you cook or travel or get ready for Thanksgiving within your own family traditions. And I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. I'm really excited to share today's interview with you, which goes back thousands of years to look at how people started transitioning to live with turkeys. And it's one of my favorite interviews so far. It's really fascinating. So I hope you enjoy that as you get ready to enjoy turkey or possibly Tofurkey. We'll also hear short excerpts woven throughout the episode from the book The Turkey, An American Story by Andrew F. Smith. The book is from 2006, but it still has a lot of really interesting history and cultural information about turkeys. And in addition, it's full of historical old turkey recipes for those of you who like to cook. Also in the episode, we'll do some field recordings as we always like to do. And instead of a turkey farm, we'll actually be doing some recordings at a Thanksgiving dinner with some of the guests about the turkey dinner. I'm looking at a big, beautiful turkey with stuffing all around it at a family Thanksgiving. I'm going to post a picture of it. You can hear all the chatter in the background. I'm going to post a picture of this beautiful turkey. Hopefully I'll talk to somebody who's a turkey eater. It's starting to be carved. The Turkey, An American Story, Andrew F. Smith. My fondest childhood food memories relate to the traditional Thanksgiving feast and its centerpiece, the turkey. In Southern California in the 1950s, the celebration started at school with Thanksgiving-related arts and crafts, such as tracing our hands on construction paper, and then coloring in the gobbler's features and tail feathers. Frequently, there were dramatic reenactments of the, quote, first Thanksgiving, with students playing pilgrims and their gracious friends, the American Indians, who kindly supplied much of the food. At lunch, the school cafeteria dished up tasteless turkey, nondescript gravy, overcooked vegetables, and pastel mashed potatoes produced from powder, but we knew it was just a feeble foretaste of what was to come on our family tables on Thanksgiving Day.
Stops changing, but some things never change. So fill your plate and fill your drink and fill this house with family. The kind of love that all these years can't wash away. Wash away. 'Cause the older that I get, I see that life is short and bittersweet. Thank God for this Thanksgiving Day.
Now let's hear from some of the guests at Thanksgiving about how they feel about turkey as the entree.
I don't dislike turkey.
Yeah.
I'm here at Thanksgiving, and I'm interviewing two people here about their feelings about turkey as part of the Thanksgiving meal. Can you guys introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Kyle, Susan's husband.
I'm Mark, Susan's friend.
How do each of you feel about turkey as a meal sort of entree at Thanksgiving?
Take it or leave it.
Okay.
I feel like it's such a tradition for Thanksgiving that I feel like I have to eat some of it, but it's not my favorite meat.
Okay.
I'm not
turkey.
big on tradition, so that has no value at all to me.
Okay, so you take it for what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you like leftovers, like leftover turkey sandwiches? Or...
I never have leftover turkey
Okay.
Why is that?
because I don't particularly like it. So if I'm not at a turkey dinner per se, and that's all that's really available, well, I choose it.
So someone else is going to get the leftovers after
You might
the
pick
turkey.
something else or
Yes.
something like that.
There is, you can take turkey, you can put it on a sandwich, you can put a lot of other stuff on it, and it's really good. It takes a little work though. You can't just have turkey and bread. You gotta amp it up.
Put some stuff on
enhance
there.
it. Yeah.
Well,
But that's good.
Yeah, but that's like anything else. You can take turkey and hide it with other stuff that's better. So you can take something else.
Yeah, but it is meat. It's healthy.
Yeah, but what you're saying
eat
is
meat.
I'm going to take my turkey and I really don't like it, but I'm going to hide it with other stuff. So
I don't
so it's
dislike
acceptable.
it. I think it's fine. It's not my favorite meat, but I do like it.
Do you think the cranberry sauce, are you using that
Ooh,
to
I
hide
like the cranberry sauce. Yeah, that's good.
To hide the meat?
Yeah, cranberry sauce, the gravy, that's good. Mix it with the turkey.
Anything to hide the meat.
Okay.
I like the cranberry sauce. I like the gravy. I like the stuffing.
I like the dark meat. Dark meat's much better. I feel like the turkey breast gets a lot of attention, but it's kind of dry to me.
I'd like to interview you guys more often because I don't even need to ask anything. You just kind of run with it. It's great. Deborah, how do you feel about turkey? Only if you're comfortable being interviewed. We're doing an interview about turkey as part of the Thanksgiving meal.
How do I feel about it?
Yeah. Do you like it? Is it sort of
I
so
prefer chicken
Okay.
to turkey.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting.
But I'm very interested in turkeys. We have a lot of turkeys on our property,
Yeah.
and they're really interesting animals.
Yeah.
A lot of people hunt them,
Wow.
and
It
it's
just
interesting.
sounds like everybody here is eating turkey out of some sense of tradition or obligation, not because we like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
I'm going to have to find somebody that really loves it.
Hold on, I'll be back.
Okay, should I pause? I'm going to pause.
What I've chosen for this year is to try to be sincere and eat some food made by my mama. Whoa, here's an anthem to be thankful. Whoa, as we dig into a casserole, ain't nothing like a gobble song. A turkey tune for singing all day long. Something about cranberry glaze and saying grace makes my holiday pass no song. Give me some of that gravy. Save the neck for cousin Eddie. Sop it up with butter rolls and then eat it again. Forget your trouble 'cause football's on. Ain't nothing like a gobble song.
Next, we're going to turn to our interview with an anthropologist who specializes in the archaeology of turkeys and the origins of turkey domestication. I think this is really fascinating, and I hope you enjoy it too. I'm here with Dr. Erin Thornton from the Department of Anthropology at Washington State University. Thanks for joining the Biologica podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So we're going to be talking a little bit about the domestication of turkeys in North America. Can you talk a little bit, just to start, about how you got interested in anthropology involving animal use or domestication of animals?
Sure. I've been interested in archaeology since I was a little kid, to be honest. And I was fortunate enough to have parents that didn't necessarily discourage me from whatever I wanted to pursue. So that was really lucky. And in terms of how I started researching animal domestication and turkeys in particular, it was, if I'm being honest, a complete combination of luck and then probably some stubborn determination. So when I was a graduate student at the University of Florida, I was a few years in, and they hired a new faculty member at the Florida Museum of Natural History, Dr. Kitty Emery, fabulous archaeologist and just an all-around wonderful human being. And I was so excited to be her student that when she gave me my first project, my first assemblage of archaeological animal remains from my site, I was so focused on impressing her that I basically just lived in the museum and really worked hard to identify all of the bones in that assemblage as well as I could. And in doing that, there were some turkey bones. And I spent hours trying to distinguish. There are actually two species of turkey in Central America. And I was trying to figure out which species these turkeys were. And when I looked at their shape and morphology, to me, they looked like domestic turkeys more than the wild ocellated turkey. And I brought those IDs to my advisor, and she said, that's wrong. You have to go back. There aren't supposed to be domesticated turkeys in my area this early in time. And I was, to be honest, devastated. And I went back to the assemblage and I looked at the morphology again, and I said, no, I think this is really what I'm looking at. So I brought it back to her. She looked at them and said, yeah, I think you're right, but no one will believe us.
Oh, wow.
So we then pursued. She said, well, what we need is we need to confirm this with ancient DNA. We need to radiocarbon date them, and then we'll know if this is really something special. And it was really that chance finding and the fact that I was so determined to get these samples right that I guess led to this huge portion of what has been my academic career. So I never anticipated studying this, to be honest. So
that is so cool. So you were doing something thought to be maybe a little more routine, and then you hit upon kind of a paradigm shifting finding.
Yeah, I was really excited. And the more I researched it, the more excited I got about it. It was surprising because when we radiocarbon dated these turkeys from the Maya site of Mirador, they ended up coming out about 350, 400 BC. And then I started researching it, and I realized that these were the earliest documented turkeys anywhere in Mesoamerica. And domesticated turkeys are not from the Maya area originally. So these were brought in. So it was really a surprising, exciting finding. And we just kept pulling the strings, and it's led to a bunch of additional research. It's been exciting and fun.
That's really incredible. Can you tell a little bit, maybe this is a group that's maybe includes some people with science background, mostly nature lovers and animal lovers in the listeners. Could you summarize for us how you study these? I think you mentioned using DNA and radioisotopes and that sort of thing. How do you tackle these questions?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use several different lines of evidence. So there's the field of zooarchaeology, which is basically the study of animal remains that come out of archaeological sites. So in looking at remains from in a zooarchaeological context, we look at their overall shape and morphology, right? How can we distinguish different species from fragmentary bones? So in terms of adding to the zooarchaeological methods, looking at the bones morphology, we also look at isotopic ratios in the bones. And so what we can do is we can actually reconstruct the past diet of these turkeys and we can classify what types of different foods that they ate. And specifically, we can pick up the presence of maize or corn in their diet, because corn uses a different photosynthetic pathway than most other plants that grow within that region. So what we're really looking for is, when do turkeys kind of make that shift from eating wild resources to being fed by humans, right? And they were eating a lot of maize, feeding in our, communities, eating alongside, being provided maize. And so when we start seeing their diet converging with human diet, that's really a strong indicator that these are now managed domesticated animals rather than wild hunted turkeys.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then ancient DNA, which I am not a specialist in ancient DNA. I work with other specialists, Dr. Camilla Speller at the University of British Columbia. And oh gosh, our methods are advancing all the time in terms of what we can do with ancient DNA. So we've been able to identify, where turkeys originate from by looking at the genetic signatures of ancient turkeys and modern turkeys. And we're even starting to be able to look at nuclear genomes of these ancient animals to start looking for selective pressure on things like feather color, right? Or body size. So that's really exciting. The other really exciting thing that we're finding is the turkeys that are still raised by kind of individual families in households and patios today in modern day Mexico City and Oaxaca. Those turkeys are not mixed with industrial turkeys, the ones that we kind of see being raised at these kind of large industrial scales. There's a really strong genetic connection or continuity between these modern kind of patio raised turkeys and the ancient turkeys. So it's opening up all these really exciting possibilities to look at, I guess, genetic continuity and population continuity through time. So it's, we'll see that research is still ongoing.
Wow, that's amazing. And just to share a little thing this is making me think of in my sort of volunteer work, I do some necropsies of loons. And when we do that, the pathologists like to say that you really can't tell a lot about an animal from a veterinary perspective unless it's sort of a fresh cadaver. So this is like an autopsy we're doing of found loons, and sometimes they're frozen for a year, and we thaw them and do them together, some vets and wildlife biologists. And I'm always thinking, wow, we can actually tell a lot. Like sometimes we can really figure out what probably caused this loon to die. We find lead, we find like a fishing hook, we find a blunt sort of contact with what looks like it might be a boat or something like that. And so we figure out a lot, but then I'm thinking, wow, you're looking at not only not a dead cadaver from, last spring, you're looking at from hundreds or maybe thousands of years ago. I'm trying to and still figuring out what they ate or how they lived, and that's so fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting work you're doing. My husband is actually a wildlife ecologist.
Oh, cool. Oh, you guys must have interesting conversations.
We are absolutely obsessed with animals, both of us.
That's awesome. Well, I think one thing I wanted to ask about was kind of big picture, because I know this is asking about a lot of what you're studying. So it's sort of looking high level. What was the story here? What have you figured out about like how people were using these animals? Were they eating them most likely, or was there other use of feathers? Is it hard to tell that? And how did there were two species now, I guess. Were they using both of them? Kind of what's the high level story of what you think happened?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Okay. Where to begin?
It's a hard question because it's broad.
No, it's good. I'm trying to figure out where to actually kind of start the explanation. So turkeys, well, actually, let me start really broad picture. For me, I think one of the reasons I think this research is really interesting and important is because we know that animals were domesticated, right, on pretty much every continent in the past.
Mhm.
But North America is unique in that we don't have large mammalian domesticates emerging from that continent like we see in South America and Africa and Eurasia.
Mhm.
And so turkeys they are the only vertebrate animal that originate from North America. So to me, it's a really interesting piece of understanding global domestication. And previously, we didn't know much about turkey domestication. It was something that was really under research. So I guess my overarching goal with all this research is to really bring North America into these broader global discussions of animal domestication. So that's kind of where I see the broader significance of the work.
Mhm.
But in terms of how this all unfolded, so one of the things we realized that was lacking is we didn't really have a good idea of when the process began in North America and how that might have differed across regions. So if we think about it, so wild turkeys are actually found throughout kind of central northern Mexico on up into the American Southwest and then into eastern North America. So we know that wild turkeys were across that broad region.
Mhm.
And what genetics found back in about 2010, it was confirmed by the work of Camilla Speller and her colleagues that turkeys weren't just domesticated once, they were domesticated twice. So once in central Mexico, likely, and also once in the American Southwest. So, and what it looks like from our research and the research of other collaborators is that, well, it wasn't really known where the domestication process occurred first, whether it was central Mexico or whether it was the American Southwest. And that's important because it tells you about maybe the idea being borrowed by one particular region or the other. And in the American Southwest, it looks like turkeys are domesticated by at least 200 BC. But now it looks like central Mexico does predate that. And so that's been some of our recent work. So we have really good evidence where turkeys are just, look just like humans in terms of their diet. They're eating basically pure maize by about 400 to 500 BC. But there's some indication that that process, these aren't like a eureka moments where suddenly, animals go from wild to domestic. I think this is probably a prolonged process of kind of intensifying human-animal relationships. So to be honest, the origins of turkey domestication in central Mexico is probably several centuries earlier. And we think potentially as early as maybe about 800 BC with kind of the initial experiments with turkey management.
Wow.
Yeah. And the way they started, I mean, you're absolutely right. You were spot on in saying that they weren't necessarily a subsistence resource in the beginning. There's evidence in the American Southwest and in central Mexico that the earliest reasons that people were, I guess, managing turkeys, domesticating them, controlling them, was for use either for feathers. So we have evidence on the ulna that feathers were being plucked off in both regions. And also they were being used as ritual sacrifices. So we find some of the earliest birds, they weren't eaten at all. They were buried whole.
Oh my gosh.
Either with human burials. So yeah, it kind of started, we tend to think of domestication being, it's just for food. But for turkeys, it seems that it was largely based on feathers and ritual use. In both regions before it really later became a staple resource several centuries later.
Wow, that's amazing. And it really, I guess this is not my area of expertise, but it does speak to me that they must have had this really rich culture that was not just survival mode, that they were doing a lot more with these animals.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
That is
pretty amazing architecture, artwork, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. What are something that, and maybe this has already been part of our conversation, but something that perplexed you or surprised you during some of your recent studies?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Let's see. Probably, I guess, two things. I think the first thing, and that we've looked at, and this kind of touches back on one of your previous questions, is we do know that there are two species of turkeys, right? So the ocellated turkey is only found in part of the Maya cultural regions, so kind of parts of Belize and Guatemala and up into Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. So that's a different range than where we see the wild progenitor of the domestic turkey. And we know that the ancient Maya adopted the domestic turkey from central Mexico. It was imported and started being reared in that area. And we know that the ancient Maya used the ocellated turkey, that they, wild hunted it. But I almost expected that the idea of turkey husbandry or domestication would have been applied to the local domesticated turkey. And we tested that by looking at isotopic ratios in ancient ocellated turkeys to see if we can reconstruct their diet. What we find is that it looks like ocellated turkeys never were managed to the same extent as domesticated turkeys. Instead, wild ocellated turkeys were hunted by the ancient Maya, and they just adopted the domestic turkey. I kind of thought there would have been probably some evidence of ocellated turkey management, but we haven't found evidence of that. So that was a bit surprising to me.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the other thing that's a bit surprising is we do know that we had fairly sizable populations practicing maize or corn agriculture in the eastern woodlands of the eastern U.S. and kind of southern Canada. And that's another situation where there was potential for turkeys to be managed and domesticated. So similar to what happened in central Mexico, independently in the American Southwest. So the question was, well, did these maize agricultural populations do that in the eastern woodlands? And we looked at it in one particular area and at several sites in Tennessee, and we don't find evidence of turkey domestication in the eastern U.S. And for me, that's really interesting because we have the potential for turkey domestication in these three distinct regions, and we have turkeys being domesticated in two of the three areas. So what are kind of the social, historical, environmental parameters that are really kind of determining whether people invest or maybe don't invest in kind of turkey management or domestication? So for me, that's kind of an exciting thing to think about. Where does it occur and not occur and why?
And is that one of your future areas of study, or are there other things you're looking forward to?
That's a good question. I think the genetic work is very slow, to be honest. And it's hard because I want answers now, but I think a lot of kind of the details about selective pressure on turkeys, those are some of the outstanding questions that I think we still have yet to really have in our pocket yet. We have a bunch of data that still needs to be published that we're sitting on. I'm applying for a sabbatical next year, which hopefully I'll get to kind of write some of this, get it out into the world. But it's the genetics that I think is going to follow behind. And yeah, we'll see. I think it's going to be really exciting and tell us a lot about, I guess, the diffusion of turkeys, the timing of that, what particular traits were selected for. And we have these odd examples, these really tiny turkeys that were so small. We find them in certain places. They looked almost like we thought they were chickens based on size, but not. And I'm wondering, why do we find these diminutive turkeys? We were calling them teacup turkeys. And, and we don't know what's going on, whether it's just, a dietary thing or a health thing, or whether there's something genetic that these little tiny turkeys are popping up, because it's not something you see in modern populations necessarily. So I don't know. It might be nothing, but I'm very curious to find out.
That's fascinating. I think I'm going to be trying to keep an eye on Google Scholar, and now I'm curious too. So I think the timing of this episode coming out is going to be around when a lot of people in North America are sitting down to sort of have a feast with a domestic turkey, maybe on the table, maybe a tofurkey, maybe a domestic turkey. But it sounds like these ancient turkeys, in addition to being used for other things than meat, maybe they looked pretty different than the modern domestic turkey. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the distinction we make is that the modern industrial turkey, or in Mexico, they call them doble pechuga, which is like double-breasted turkey. And those are the ones that we've, reared to be so large, right, that can't necessarily fly well or even procreate. So there still are what are known as heritage turkeys that are raised in some parts of the U.S. and also definitely in Mexico. And those are the ones that seem to have direct connection back to these Aztec and earlier turkeys. But you're right that the turkeys that most of us that I know, I just ordered my turkey the other day. The ones that we're going to be consuming, the industrial kind of breeds, those are, they're quite a bit larger. They mature a bit faster. I don't think they taste quite as good. They're still delicious, but they're a bit different. But, turkeys are a bit conservative in their morphology, despite these kind of major body size changes. They look kind of similar, to be honest, to the ones in the past. Ocellated turkeys look very different. They look like a cross between a turkey and a peacock. They're actually quite lovely.
Oh, neat. I'm going to look that up after this.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to share about turkey research or turkey history of domestication?
Oh, gosh. I don't think so. I think there's so much to talk about, but I think I've probably bored you with enough turkey details. The only thing I'll say is it's nice to have people interested in this. Oftentimes, when I'm traveling or I meet new people and, what do you do for a living? And I say, I'm an archaeologist. And they're like, what are you working on? What's the most interesting thing that you've ever found? And I say, turkey bones. And they look at me like I'm absolutely crazy. But I have to be honest with it. And I think I get very excited about explaining why I think this somewhat seemingly niche research is really interesting and exciting. And I do quite a bit of teaching at WSU, and it's nice to, I guess, by the end of a semester, have my students asking lots of questions about turkeys and thinking it's pretty cool. So I guess nothing that I really want to add, but I just appreciate your interest in this topic. And I hope I piqued some other people's interest in this as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing. And I didn't know what to expect, but I'm really amazed, actually, and to think about how this was a new discovery of an entire domestication process in North America that we'd never known about. It's very cool. And I'm really excited to see where your research goes. And thank you again for joining us on the Biologica podcast.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, and happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Thank you so much to Dr. Erin Thornton for sharing her perspectives and her learning about the archaeology of turkeys. and the anthropology about their use over thousands of years. I thought that was really, really fascinating, and I can't wait to see where her research goes next.
I went to milk and I didn't know how, and I milked a goat instead of a cow. Monkey sitting on a pile of straw, wagging his eye at his mother-in-law. Turkey in a hay pile, turkey in a straw, turkey in a hay pile, turkey in a straw. Rake 'em up, shake 'em up, anyway at all. Turkey in a haystack, turkey in a straw.
Does anybody here truly love turkey to eat? Does anyone love turkey?
Like outside.
Jackie. Okay. All
All right. This is my friend Jackie, and she is representing the perspective of really liking turkey. Can you tell a little bit about why you like it, or good memories you have?
Thank you for having me here, Susan. It's really a pleasure to be here. My favorite thing about turkey is when you get the turkey leg. I don't actually like to get a piece. I really like the leg, and it's like fun to gnaw on it, and it kind of makes you feel like a medieval peasant or like a wolf or something. And like the best parts are like close to the bone.
So you're
I
dark
love
meat
that.
turkey.
So it's like the experience.
Yeah,
of
I'm definitely juicy turkey. So like
Yeah,
I
man.
could do white meat turkey, but like day one white meat turkey.
feeling like you're in a medieval hall with like this
It's so
like
primal.
big leg of.
Yeah. And it's
Poultry.
always really good. on
Awesome.
Thanksgiving, so.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that perspective. We needed it because we were
needed
getting that
substances.
perspective. Thank you, Jackie.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Can I ask another question? So let's say I could offer you a Thanksgiving chicken with a leg, a giant drumstick for your own enjoyment. Would you still pick the turkey over the chicken?
Yes, because turkey is so infrequent. I think it's a special occasion. I would still be absolutely psyched with the chicken. My favorite thing, what I want to do with Thanksgiving one day when I grow up, if I ever get to host Thanksgiving, is I think what could be really fun is like everybody brings their own favorite thing. Like as much as I love turkey, I do think Thanksgiving is for like primarily enjoyment. Like that's the purpose. You shouldn't get like too overly caught up necessarily in like specifics because like people celebrate differently also. Different like regional or cultural things can shine. Like the risotto is like, I don't know that that's like traditional Thanksgiving, but like it's become expected at this Thanksgiving. But yeah, one day I would love to do just like, what's your favorite? I'll make it for you.
I can get it.
And so like if someone's like, oh my God, my favorite thing is rotisserie chicken, then like that could also be really fun.
Nice. Awesome. I love hearing all the different perspectives. Thank you, guys.
My pleasure.
Thank you to friends and family who agreed to be interviewed for this episode of Biologica. I really appreciate you.
All right, Adam, are you ready?
Yes, I am, Kevin. I've worked all week on my song, and I hope you'll be entertained and a little moved. Love to eat turkey. Love to eat turkey. Love to eat turkey, 'cause it's good. Love to eat the turkey like a good boy should, 'cause it's turkey to eat so good. A turkey for me, turkey for you. Let's eat turkey in a big brown shoe. Love to eat the turkey at the table. I once saw a movie with Betty Grable. Eat that turkey.
We're going to fill in some of the gaps between the ancient times and the modern day turkey with our excerpts from the book The Turkey, An American Story by Andrew F. Smith. How did the turkey get to Europe, and how did it fare there? Andrew F. Smith fills us in a bit. Common wisdom has it that hundreds of years passed before New World foods were integrated into European diets. This is not true of the turkey. The Spanish encountered domesticated turkeys in Mexico by 1518, and within a few years they had been introduced into the West Indies and Spain. Shortly thereafter, turkeys were widely disseminated throughout Western Europe, the Mediterranean, and Asia. Before 1541, the turkey arrived in England, where it was immediately adopted by the upper classes. Domesticated birds were easy to raise, and turkey farms proliferated throughout England. By 1577, English growers raised vast flocks of turkeys, which were driven like cattle hundreds of miles to market. As turkeys became plentiful, they became affordable to the middle class and soon were the least expensive bird on the English market. What about the middle school and elementary school reenactments of the Pilgrims and the Native Americans? Let's turn again to Andrew F. Smith's writings, The Turkey, An American Story. Despite repeated stories to the contrary, the frequently cited, quote, first Thanksgiving dinner never happened, at least not the way it has been described in textbooks and popular magazines. In fact, there's no mention in any historical writings of Pilgrims and Native Americans being involved in an early Thanksgiving dinner. Instead, members of an old club called the Old Colony Club in Plymouth, Massachusetts, met in 1769 and had a big dinner to celebrate something known as Forefathers' Day. And this was celebrated for multiple years and became kind of the way that the landing of the Mayflower and the Pilgrims got tied to what later became Thanksgiving. Andrew Smith in Chapter 6 goes into a lot more detail about not only this, but also about some of the mixed feelings or controversies surrounding Forefathers' Day with Native American communities and leaders. There are a lot of early writings celebrating Thanksgiving dinners, but how did it become a national holiday? According to Andrew Smith in The Turkey, An American Story, the national holiday really tracks back to the efforts by Sarah Josepha Hale, who was one of the first American women to publish a novel. Her husband died and left her with 5 children to support, and in order to help earn money, she wrote Northwood, or A Tale of New England. Quote, an entire chapter of Northwood describes Thanksgiving dinner in New England. Of the turkey, she writes that it, quote, took precedence on this occasion, being placed at the head of the table, and well did it become its lordly station, sending forth the rich odor of its savory stuffing, and finally covered with the froth of the basting, end quote. With the fame and success of her book, she became the editor of American Ladies magazine and went on to dedicate a huge amount of effort in writing letters to the editor and also writing Congress people advocating for a Thanksgiving Day. Quote, Hale believed that America needed an autumn holiday and that holiday should be named Thanksgiving. Hale commenced her campaign to create a national Thanksgiving holiday in 1846, and for the next 17 years, she wrote annually to members of Congress, prominent individuals, and the governors of every state and territory, requesting each to proclaim the last Thursday in November as Thanksgiving Day. If you are listening to this podcast episode in the United States and preparing to have a Thanksgiving dinner or have just recently had one, you can give thanks to Sarah Josepha Hale, who single-handedly campaigned and brought about the Thanksgiving Day that we celebrate as a national holiday in the United States.
A turkey sat on a backyard fence and he sang this sad, sad tune. Thanksgiving Day is coming, gobble, gobble, and I know I'll be eating soon. Gobble, 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 I would like to run away. Gobble, 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 I don't like Thanksgiving Day.
It's one day post-Thanksgiving dinner, and we're going to check in with Kyle again. I just got home. There's a fire in the wood stove, and Kyle's here by the wood stove, and our dog seemed to be very interested in what Kyle was doing. How are you doing, Kyle?
Great. How are you?
Good. What are you snacking on there?
I've got a Ziploc bag filled with turkey.
Nice.
From yesterday's Thanksgiving.
How are you feeling about the leftover turkey?
Oh, man. It's so delicious.
It's really good.
It's delicious. It's cold. It's in a Ziploc bag. And I'm just munching on it. And it is amazing.
Nice. Is it bringing back also like thoughts of yesterday, or is it more like it in itself is really good?
No, it's just really good. Dark meat, turkey. I'm sorry if I was lukewarm about it yesterday. It's amazing.
Okay, there you heard it. People's feelings can morph with time. Is our dog going to get to have a piece of that turkey?
She's definitely, they're all angling for turkey.
They are very interested.
Animals.
Actually, there's 2 dogs and a cat, all 3 attentively watching you. Oh, wow. Our old boy is actually making an effort to come over. Hey, buddy. Hey, Dad says the turkey is good.
Oh, my God.
Life is like that. Sometimes at the height of our revelries, when our joy is at its zenith, when all is most right with the world, the most unthinkable disasters descend upon us. The heavenly aroma still hung heavy in the house, but it was gone, all gone. No turkey sandwiches, no turkey salad, no turkey gravy, turkey hash, turkey a la king, or gallons of turkey soup. Gone, all gone.
Chapter 8 of The Turkey, An American Story is called The Industrialized Turkey, or How the Turkey Became a Profit Center. This chapter goes into the many ways that industrialization affected the progress of turkey and our use of turkey at Thanksgiving. It involved the formation of the Department of Agriculture, changes in delivery such as the creation of refrigerated railroad cars, changes in freezing technology, and more. And it's a bit beyond the scope of this episode, but maybe someday we can delve a bit more into the modern industrialized turkey and how it gets from the large farm to the Thanksgiving table. When I talked with friends about how I was going to do an episode on domestic turkeys, the 2 main questions I got, or comments, related to the presidential pardon and also to the question of whether Benjamin Franklin wanted the national bird to be a turkey. I'm going to address those 2 common questions and concerns right now. First of all, years and years back, before there was ever an official pardon of the turkey, there was a long tradition of people bringing a gift of a turkey to the president. There's a lot of stories of these gifts shared in the book by Andrew F. Smith, but I'll share my favorite one. Quote, Keith F. Carson, a student at the Agricultural and Mechanical College in Texas, now Texas A&M, hitchhiked to Washington with another live turkey for the president, who was Franklin D. Roosevelt. The hotel in which he stayed permitted him to keep the bird in his bathroom, but a maid accidentally released it. The bird was recaptured, however, and given to the president. The first pardon, at least unofficially, doesn't take place until the presidency of John F. Kennedy. He was gifted a turkey and did tell people that he didn't plan to eat the bird, and newspapers reported that he had, quote, pardoned it. According to Andrew Smith, it wasn't until 1989 and President George H.W. Bush that a president officially pardoned a turkey, and he did so each succeeding year of his presidency, thus launching a tradition that has continued on to today. What about Benjamin Franklin and the turkey? For the answer to this, we're going to turn to the website of the Franklin Institute. And it turns out that the story I've heard for years and people have asked me about for this episode, that Benjamin Franklin advocated for it to be the national bird, is in fact a myth. There is some truth to the story, though, like with many myths. In fact, Benjamin Franklin wrote a letter to his daughter complaining about the Great Seal and the eagle design there. He said in the letter, "Bald eagle is a bird of bad moral character. He does not get his living honestly and is too lazy to fish for himself. The turkey, quote, is a much more respectable bird, and withal a true original native of America. He is besides, though a little vain and silly, a bird of courage." So while he did not advocate for it to be a national bird, he certainly admired the turkey. Next, we'll feature a few papers on turkeys, domestic turkeys in the research, and then we will conclude with a poem about turkeys. The first study is called Turkeys on the Fringe, Variable Husbandry in, quote, marginal areas of the prehistoric American Southwest. This is by the author Jones et al. From 2016, so it's a little bit older, but I thought it was pretty interesting. The authors talk about how the maize in the diet of turkeys that are analyzed from ancient turkeys in the American Southwest shows that the turkeys were generally eating maize, but most of the studies focused on regions or locations where maize would have been readily available. The authors looked at a specific group of people, the Tijeras Puebla people, and I may have pronounced that incorrectly. But these people lived at a high altitude, and the harvesting of maize was very marginal there. They found turkey remains that the DNA matched domestic turkeys, so they didn't seem to be wild turkeys, but the diet was a lot more mixed. It had a different signature when they analyzed it that seemed a lot more like the diet of a typical wild turkey. And so they hypothesized from these results that maybe the people living at high elevation there, where they had less maize, actually free-ranged their domestic turkeys. So the domestic turkeys were part of their culture and society, but fed and lived a lot more like a free-range bird at high altitude. Finally, there's a study called Turkeys Befriend a Girl, Turkey Husbandry, Ceremonialism, and Tales of Resistance During the Pueblo Revolt Era. And this is from 2022 by Linda McNeil. From Basket Maker 2 to Pueblo 2, turkey husbandry flourished among ancestral Pueblos inhabiting the northern and southern San Juan areas, 300 BC to AD 1250, and the Rio Grande Valley, AD 1250 to 1700, due to the ritual symbolic importance of turkey feathers to rain-making ideology. As primary caregivers, ancestral Puebloan women's long-lasting social bond with domesticated turkeys was disrupted by Spanish maize and textile tribute systems and demands on native labor of the mid-1600s, a major factor contributing to the Pueblo Revolt of 1680. Despite the Spanish assault on their culture, native people clandestinely practiced Kachina religion by reusing turkey feather ceremonial objects, seeking refuge in ancestral mesatop villages, and repurposing Spanish ecclesiastical materials as part of a pan-Pueblo resistance and revitalization movement. So this is a fascinating study that really looks at how the turkey was so important and then how that importance was threatened but also resisted with the relationship in the Pueblo people and the Spanish culture. For the poem today, we'll read a few stanzas from Thanksgiving Turkey by George Parsons Lathrop, and this is from the 1800s. Valleys lay in sunny vapor, and a radiance mild was shed from each tree that like a taper at a feast stood. Then we said, our feast too shall soon be spread of good Thanksgiving turkey. And already still November drapes her snowy table here. Fetch a log then, coax the ember, fill your hearts with old-time cheer. Heaven be thanked for one more year and our Thanksgiving turkey. Welcome, brothers, all our party gathered in the homestead old. Shake the snow off and with hearty handshakes drive away the cold. Else your plate you'll hardly hold of good Thanksgiving turkey. When the skies are sad and murky, 'tis a cheerful thing to meet round this homely roast of turkey, pilgrims pausing just to greet, then with earnest grace to eat a new Thanksgiving turkey. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I wish you safe travels and happy holidays. For those of you not living in the United States, Thank you for joining us for delving into the history of turkey domestication and its cultural importance here. If you write me at biologica.podcast@gmail.com if you have turkey memories or traditions in the place where you live, I'd be interested to share your stories in the episode notes. I'll see you again in 2 weeks. In the meantime, when you're home seeing family or friends, if you enjoyed the episode, please share it and let people know about the Biologica podcast. I very much appreciate it. Thanks again, and keep discovering.
Well, I come to a river and I couldn't get across, and I paid $5 for an old blind horse. He wouldn't go ahead and he wouldn't stand still. He went up and down like an old sawmill. Turkey in a hay pile, turkey in a straw, turkey in a hay pile, turkey in a straw. Rake 'em up, shake 'em up, and they weigh tall. Turkey in a haystack, turkey in a straw. As I come down a new cut road, I met Mr. Frog and I met Miss Toad, and every time Miss Toad would sing, the old bullfrog got a pigeon wing. Turkey in a hay pile, turkey in a straw, turkey in a hay pile, turkey in a straw. Wake 'em up, shake 'em up, and they weigh tall. Turkey in a haystack, turkey in a straw.